Hi everyone, I'm Sean, a steering committee member and an applying scientist at Amazon. Thanks to Zhou for hosting this event, and thanks to Baidu for kindly sponsoring this event. I'm glad to be here on behalf of the ONNX Steering Committee to provide an update to the ONNX community. I'll first talk about the state of the state and share the growth of our community, and then I'll update on the governance in ONNX, including the upcoming election. So for those who are interested in contributing to ONNX community as a new steering committee member, stay tuned for the election details. Since our last meetup in October, our community continues to grow at an amazing pace. Here are the metrics that we collected for the various aspects of the ONNX community. For development, we see close to 6,000 PRs across all the ONNX repos, which constitutes a 12% growth. We see close to 20% growth in the number of forks for the main repo, and we have 186 contributors now in the community. We continue to gather the attention of deep learning community with close to 10,000 stars. Our model zoo also continues to get larger with richer workload coverage. In terms of adoption, the academic adoption is particularly exciting as we see 150% growth in the number of mentions of ONNX in papers. We also have 2,550 repos that depend on ONNX, and we see monthly downloads continue to grow at 22%. Thanks to the hard work and the great collaboration among community members, the impact of ONNX continues to grow rapidly. In terms of support, there are now a wide range of frameworks, libraries, runtimes, and compilers that support ONNX. Also, I'm proud to announce our participation in Python Data API Consortium, whose logo is in the top right. The Consortium for Python API Standards aims to address fragmentation in machine learning and deep learning frameworks, and it creates synergy by developing API standards for arrays and data frames. Besides ONNX, the consortium consists of key contributors in many of the major frameworks, including members from NumPy, CuPy, TensorFlow, PyTorch, MXNet, JAX, Xarray, and Dask communities. We all work together by examining the current API definitions in these frameworks, carefully designing future-proof APIs, and openly driving the definition of the standard through discussions, open draft, and RFCs for early feedbacks. So as the de facto standard definition for model exchange format in deep learning, ONNX community has a lot of experience to offer to this effort. On the other hand, through adopting the API standard as part of our roadmap and by aligning with other communities, we expect ONNX to bring its benefits to an even larger community and to other ecosystems in the near future. For new runtimes, we also gladly welcome Halo, a top-performing AI processor for edge devices, as a new addition to the community. Next, I'll provide an update on the governance of ONNX project and also talk about the upcoming election process. ONNX open governance model consists of three main groups. The steering committee, or SC, which is what the upcoming election is for, is the group that sets the overall direction of the project. Special interest groups, or SIGs, are persistent groups that are responsible for specific technical aspects of the project. As you see highlighted, we have a new member, Rama, who stepped up for operator SIG as co-lead after Imad. We thank Imad for his contribution as the previous operator SIG lead, and we gladly welcome Rama and are grateful for him to fill this important role. And finally, we have working groups, which are temporary groups that are set up for specific topics. For example, since the last meetup, the release working group accomplished its original goal of improving the release processes and steps and is now closed. And following our last update on the licensing and contribution requirements for ONNX, we have updated all the code repos under ONNX with the Apache license V02. And also, we switched fully from using CLA to now using DCO. And DCO bots are now enabled on all repos under ONNX and are required. So to pass the DCO bot, all commits in the PR must be signed. It is very easy to do. If you're using Git command line, you can turn on the -S switch so that it would automatically include the signature. Or if you're using Web UI or other tools, you can include such a message signed off by and make sure that the email address is the correct one. And that would enable the signing in such a use case. So if you have more questions on this, you can check out the contributing.md for more tips. In addition, we think communication is really important for the health of a community, so we continue to improve in this aspect. In ONNX, we now switch to Slack in favor of Gitter. We have ONNX channels in RFAI and Data Slack, and channels exist for each of the SIG and working groups. So if you haven't done so, please sign up for RFAI and Data Slack, and then join these ONNX channels. We also enabled GitHub discussions on the ONNX main repo. It's a new feature that is very good for technical questions and discussions that usually don't work well as issues. And here's a tip that issues can be converted to discussions, but not vice versa. And for other repos of ONNX, we can enable this feature too upon request of the maintainers of these repos. We're also seeking hosts for future events like this one. We have biannual RFAI and Data Day event like today's meetup, and one would happen in the fall. The planning for this event starts 3 months before, and we seek to gather around 10 community talks. So if you're interested in hosting such an event, please reach out to us. And finally, on the face-to-face workshops, like we did before the pandemic, I think during the last year, many of us do desire the closer human connection and to feel connected again with the community. But for now, I think we will decide after the pandemic is over. Last but not least, as I mentioned, the steering committee is actually elected, and the election is starting now. So we're opening up the election for steering committee members to the public, and you can use the link above for self-nomination. We'll also post this link to our ONNX social media channels for easier discovery. In terms of eligibility, the candidate doesn't have to be a contributor, as we want to open up the opportunities to all those who want to contribute to ONNX. The people who decide on who to become a steering committee member will be the contributors of ONNX. Each contributor and thus voter will express the preferences for multiple candidates with the relative ranks. And these votes are then used in the condensed voting process with Schutz method, and are then rolled up to an associated company to form the vote of that company. And final results are based on the member company votes, similar to doing another round of voting among these companies. And all the votes will be published for full transparency. So if you're interested, please check it out. Or if you know of someone who might be interested, please help us spread the words. We look forward to having you with us. And that's all from me. Next, we will have Junhoon to share with us the ONNX roadmaps.